Danandana Braja Janaranjanam Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjanam Munatira Vanacharim Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Giri Varadhari Shodanandana Braja Janaranjana Shodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanacharim Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Madhavasta Sakisya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nittai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Can somebody please turn off this light, just the light, not the fan, because it's creating some flickering while the fan is working. Just the light, please. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 25, shloka 20. The chapter is entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. Prasaṅgam ajaraṁ pāśam ātmanaḥ kavayo viduḥ saiva sādhuṣu kṛto mokṣa-dvāram apāvṛtam prasaṅgam ajaraṁ pāśam ātmanaḥ kavayo viduḥ saiva sādhuṣu kṛto mokṣa-dvāram apāvṛtam. Vaishnavas? Sādhuṣu kṛto prasaṅgam, attachment, ajaraṁ, strong, pāśam, entanglement, ātmanaḥ, of the soul, kavayaḥ, learned man, viduḥ, no, sa eva, that same, sādhuṣu, to the devotees, kṛtaḥ, applied, mokṣa-dvāram, the door of liberation, apāvṛtam, opened. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. Purport. Here it is clearly stated that attachment for one thing is the cause of bondage in conditioned life, and the same attachment, when applied to something else, opens the door of liberation. Attachment cannot be killed, it has simply to be transferred. Attachment for material things is called material consciousness. An attachment for Kṛṣṇa or his devotee is called Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Consciousness is therefore the platform of attachment. It is clearly stated here that when we simply purify the consciousness from material consciousness to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, we attain liberation. Despite the statement that one should give up attachment, desirelessness is not possible for a living entity. A living entity, by constitution, has the propensity to be attached to something. We see that if someone has no object of attachment, if he has no children, then he transfers his attachment to cats and dogs. This indicates that the propensity for attachment cannot be stopped. It must be utilized for the best purpose. Our attachment for material things perpetuates our conditional state. But the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee, is the source of liberation. Here it is recommended that attachment should be transferred to the self-realized devotees, the sadhus. And who is a sadhu? A sadhu is not just an ordinary man with a saffron robe or long beard. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. Even though one is found not to be following the strict rules and regulations of devotional service, if one simply has unflinching faith in Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Person, he is understood to be a sadhu. Sadhur eva samantavya. A sadhu is a strict follower of devotional service. It is recommended here that if one at all wants to realize Brahman or spiritual perfection, his attachment should be transferred to the sadhu or devotee. Lord Chaitanya also confirmed this. Lava matra sadhu sange sarva siddhi hoy. Simply by moments association with the sadhu, one can attain perfection. Mahatma is a synonym of sadhu. It is said that service to a Mahatma or elevated devotee of the Lord is Dvara Mahur Vimukte, the royal road of liberation. Mahat Sevan Dvaram Ahur Vimuktes Tamo Dvaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. This is from Bhagavatam 5th canto. Rendering service to the materialist has the opposite effect. If anyone offers service to a gross materialist, or a person engaged only in sense enjoyment, then by association with such a person, the door to hell is opened. The same principle is confirmed here. Attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord, because if one associates with the sadhu, the result will be that the sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee, a worshipper and sincere servitor of the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. If we want to associate with a sadhu, we cannot expect him to give us instructions on how to improve our material condition. But he will give us instructions on how to cut the knot of the contamination of material attraction and how to elevate ourselves in devotional service. That is the result of associating with the sadhu. Kapila Muni first of all instructs that the path of liberation begins with such association. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Ghoravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavade Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gorat Vishe Namaham Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patithanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So we are in this 25th chapter where Kapila Muni is delineating a path of liberation to his mother. Son is teaching mother. Do you know any other example where son is acting as guru to his mother? Who? Okay. There is one example that comes. Yes, Manaji. Correct. Parikshit Maharaj to Uttara, to his mother Uttara. Just after Parikshit Maharaj, he heard Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. He had just a few hours before, the snake comes to bite him. Uttara approached him very eager to hear the essence of the Bhagavatam. And because he had no time to repeat the whole Bhagavatam, he gave the essence, and that essence is called Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And after hearing this Brihad Bhagavatamrita with the essential message of the Bhagavatam, Uttara was very, very happy. And she lost all fear of that. Anyway, in these shlokas that we hear from shloka 15 to 18, Kapila Muni, he describing to his mother the difference between material condition consciousness and transcendental consciousness of self-realized person. In previous shloka 19, we heard that bhakti, devotional service, is the only auspicious path, only way to achieve this transcendental consciousness, in contrast to the paths of karma and jnana. And now, in the next 6 shlokas, starting from this to 25, Kapila Muni, he glorifies what makes this process of bhakti so effective and so powerful, and that is sadhu sangha, association of devotees. And here we have prasaṅgam, ajaraṁ, pāśam, strong rope of material attachments that every conditioned soul has. It's a pāśam, it's a very strong rope, it's a cause of bondage. But if that rope is transferred to sadhus, if that attachment to material things is transferred and we become attached to sadhus, to self-realized devotees, to mahatmas, or if you wish, sadhvis. Actually, in Sloka 24, Kapila Muni, he is referring to his mother as sadhvi, virtuous lady, saintly lady. Anyway, to sadhus or sadhvis, if he transferred this attachment, the result will be that the door of liberation opens very wide. In the same way as attachment to Kṛṣṇa directly opens door to liberation. So attachment is a result of association. When we associate with something or somebody, the resulting condition is attachment. Association leads to attachment. So result of associating with sadhus is what? What do we gain in the association? How does it work that by associating with the sadhus, with advanced devotees, we become liberated? Actually, liberation that is mentioned here is just a secondary result of this association. There are some much more important results of this association. So let's look first at the effects of association in general. First effect or result of association that comes to my mind is a taste. We develop taste for something. So what kind of taste? It will depend on what kind of person we are associating with. For example, we choose to associate with a businessman. Businessman, he has a taste for newer and newer ways and schemes to make money. So if we associate with him, we also get a taste for money making. Or let's say we choose to associate with a basketball player or tennis player, and he has a great taste for sports, for playing. We'll catch something, and we also get some taste for playing that particular sport. Or if we associate with a playboy, then of course we develop a taste for finding newer and newer partners. Or with drunkard, taste for ras, for amrita, for drinking. For gambler, we develop taste for gambling. With the musician, we develop taste for particular genre of music. So all these people have certain particular area of interest, and they pursue it with a certain level of taste, with certain level of passion. And they think about their passion, you know. The basketball player, he thinks about basketball all day, about the ball. And they become absorbed in their object of passion. And in that absorption, everything else doesn't matter so much. So similarly, a sadhu is one who has unflinching, as Prabhupada says, is one who is unflinchingly engaged in devotional service. This is what Prabhupada says in Purport here. So that means that his mind is absorbed in Kṛṣṇa. In next shloka, Titikshasva Karunika Sukhrida Sarvadehinam, we will find the description of sadhu, characteristics of sadhu, that he is a tolerant, merciful, friendly. But all this is secondary characteristics of a sadhu. Main characteristic of a Mahatma or a sadhu is that he is absorbed in Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa himself, in Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, he confirms this. Maya Veshya, Mano Ye Mam. Those who fully absorb their mind in me, in my personal form, Nitya Yukta Upasate, and who are always engaged in worshipping me, Shadaya Parayopitas, being endowed with a deep transcendental faith, Tame Yukta Tamamataha, they are the highest of all the yogis, the topmost of all transcendentalists. So what we aim to gain in the association of a sadhu is this absorption in Kṛṣṇa, in Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, and so on. So developing absorption in certain thing requires developing taste, and that requires practice, besides just association. And absorption in Kṛṣṇa or anything else cannot be transferred directly. You cannot just download from somebody else's mind that absorption to your own mind. You cannot become crazy for basketball playing, just hanging around the basketball players. You need also yourself to do what? You need to play also. You cannot develop taste for drinking just by hanging around the drunkards. You also need to start drinking little by little, sip by sip, and eventually you develop taste. So similarly, if we want to catch absorption in Kṛṣṇa from a sadhu, we need also to do activities that sadhu do, that sadhu derive pleasure from. So what are these activities that sadhu derive pleasure? Again, Krishna says in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Madchitta madgatha prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantar shimam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. With minds absorbed in me, completely dependent on me, enlightening each other about me and speaking about me, they continuously experience great satisfaction and bliss. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They experience great bliss just by enlightening and talking about Kṛṣṇa amongst themselves. Okay, so now you can ask, so where to find those Mahatmas, those advanced devotees who are so absorbed in Kṛṣṇa? Where to look for them? Show me one. First, I wanted to make the point that we attract like-minded association. my own disposition my own state of mind will determine type of association I get. So if my main interest is something else than pure Krishna consciousness, then I will attract a similar type of people with the same interests. If I'm into money making, I will attract an association of others who are into money making. So if in that state of consciousness that we have some other interest in Krishna, even if we happen to bump into a sadhu, person who is absorbing Krishna, will not be able to take advantage of that association. It will be useless. You might be sitting next to a pure devotee who is absorbing Krishna, but if your mind and your heart is absorbed somewhere else, and your desires are for something else, that you will not benefit from that association. Of course, some agyata sukriti will be there, but you will not get the main thing. So we need to tune in on the same frequency, on the same wavelength on which sadhu operates in order to take his association. So it's not so much matter of physical search, but it's a matter of sincerity. And if we are sincere, Krishna in the heart, he makes for us arrangements to meet these sadhus. And if we want to be cheated, as Prabhupada says, we'll find cheaters, we'll attract cheaters. So what kind of desires we have, that kind of association we will get. Krishna, as Paramatma in the heart, he will arrange a right association for us in order to fulfill our desires. So everybody in this world, all conditioned souls, they feel incomplete. Everybody thinks, oh, if I would just have this, I would be happy. But experience shows that even when we get the objects of our material attachments, we are not happy, and this feeling of incompleteness and unfulfilled material desires goes on and leads to entanglement in karma, in fruitive work, and actions and reactions, and all these forms are not in the heart. Unlimited attachments that keep us in the cycle of birth and death. So how is this not in the heart cut? This is answered by Sutta Goswami in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam. He says, Yat anyudhyasina yukta, equipped with the sword of remembrance, karma granti nibandhanam, chindanti kovidas tasya, kona kuryat katharatim. With the sword in a hand, intelligent man cut to the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? So, knot of the fruitive activities is cut by a remembrance of Krishna. And that remembrance is achieved by katha rati, attachment to Krishna or Hari Katha. That's why Sutta Goswami says, Kona kuryat katharatim. Which intelligent man will not want this rati, attachment, to katha about Krishna, to Hari Katha, to Krishna Katha, meaning that we should want this. We want katha rati. So what we regularly speak and hear about, especially with some relish, with some taste, we tend to remember easily, spontaneously. If you're a parent, you always, speak with other parents about your children. Oh, my small boy did this, he did that, and spontaneously you remember your children. Even Rajavasis in Vrindavan, they speak and remember about Krishna in this way, spontaneous way. For example, when gopis in Vrindavan, when they do their household chores, their minds are fully absorbing Krishna, and they're singing Krishna's glories about his activities, about his different pastimes of killing demons, and they are remembering his pranks. Elderly gopis, they are coming to Mother Yashoda, and they are complaining how Krishna came to their house. He stole a butter, and he made a mess, and he pinched their babies, and so many things. So they're taking this this opportunity to complain in order to speak about Kṛṣṇa. So in this way, they're constantly singing and glorifying and remembering Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa Katha, the hearing and talking about Kṛṣṇa, is the essential part of devotional service, even in the spiritual world. Every evening, all Vrajavasis actually, they assemble and listen Kṛṣṇa Katha. They listen Hari Katha. Spoken by whom? By two boys, Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta. This is described by Jiva Goswami in Gopal Champu. This Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta, previously they were who? They were Nalukuvara and Manigriva, who became Arjuna trees in the quartet of Nanda Maharaj. And when Kṛṣṇa, when he liberated them by pulling the Ulutkalal, pulling the mortar, and they went back, apparently they went back to Svarga, but actually they became Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta in Goloka Vrindavan. And there, every evening, they're doing Harikatha. They're describing the daily activities of Kṛṣṇa to all assembled Vrajavasis. So even they are regularly listening this Katha. And they have great rati, great attachment, great taste, great relish for listening about Kṛṣṇa. So how do we gain this Katha rati is the question. Again, Sutta Goswami, he says in Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, Shushushu Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi. Again, Katharuchi. Swan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. So by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, Mahat Sevaya, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. One gains Vasudeva Katharuchi. So this taste for hearing is the first step in devotional service, first step in bhakti. And it is attained through Mahat Seva, service to Mahatmas. And who are the Mahatmas? We heard they are Punya Tirtha, places of pilgrimage personified in this verse, Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Another meaning of this Punya Tirtha is that Mahatmas are generally found in tirthas, in holy places of pilgrimage. That's why we have in Vedic culture concept of Tirtha Yatra. People used to go for Tirtha Yatras, visiting different pilgrimage places in India. At least once in a lifetime, it was a must that a person must go for this Tirtha Yatra. If not before, when they get old. And generally, when a person would prepare himself to go for this Tirtha Yatra, whole village would gather around him, and they would be very, very sad because they would maybe never see that person again. In those days, Tirtha Yatras were done by walking. It took months, sometimes years. If you remember from Bhagavatam also, when, who was it? Vidura, he went on Tirtha Yatra. It took him how many years? Many, many years. To walk to, to Himalayas, to Badrinath, to Gomukh, or to Dwaraka. It takes long, long time. But the purpose of this Tirtha Yatra, it was not just, bathing in a Ganga or other holy rivers. It was not just darshan of the deities. The main purpose of Tirtha Yatra is to meet sadhus, to meet Mahatmas, and in their association, to gain some katharuchi, to gain some taste for Kṛṣṇa Katha. The other option to gain this association of sadhus and katharuchi is that sadhus travel themselves, and you are so fortunate somehow that they come to your place, and you are so receptive and open, and you go to associate with them and hear from them. We have example of Narada Muni as the son of the maidservant in his previous life, who had great fortune that some great sadhus called Bhaktivedantas, they were traveling, and they stop at the place where he was living with his mother for 4 months, for Chaturmasya. And he was very lucky to be engaged in their service. But he also had some qualification. It's not just the mercy of the sadhus. He also had the qualification due to which they felt inclined to show their mercy. He describes himself in Bhagavatam that he was a self-controlled and he had no attachment for sports. Even because he was just a 5 years old boy, and generally all small boys, they just want to play. But no, he was self-controlled and didn't want to play. He wanted just to listen to these sadhus. He was not naughty, and he did not speak more than required. And he describes how only once, with their permission, he took some prasaṅgam leftovers, some mahaprasadam. And just by taking this mahaprasadam, all his sins, he says, they were eradicated. And then he became purified, and the very nature of transcendentalist became attractive to him. Just by hearing from them and taking only once mahaprasadam. And Srila Prabhupada, in the purport to this, he describes, I'm quoting, pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as infectious disease. A pure devotee is cleared from all kinds of sins. The personality of Godhead is the purest entity, and unless one is equally pure from the affection of material qualities, one cannot become pure devotee of the Lord. So the Bhaktivedantas, as above mentioned, were pure devotees, and the boy became infected with the qualities of purity by their association and by eating once the remnants of the foodstuff taken by them. So this infection of the qualities of the pure devotees means to imbibe the taste for pure bhakti, for pure devotion. And this is attained through association, of course, a little bit through Mahaprasad also, but through association, primarily through hearing. So this is what we want to catch in the association of devotees, this taste, this ruchi for Krishna Katha, for name, qualities, pastimes, and so on of Krishna. And Narada Muni further describes, and quoting again, O Vyasadeva, in the association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Krishna, and thus listening attentively. This is again a point. He listened very attentively. We might be sitting there, they might be speaking, but if we are not attentive, again we lose it. So my taste for hearing of personality of Godhead increased at every step. By listening attentively, his katha ruchi increased. And Prabhupada describes in Purport how hearing of the narration of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one contacts him directly. And all accumulated sins are cleared. And that's how a person gradually becomes liberated. So grace of the pure devotees is transmitted first as shraddha, faith, in order to come in their association to listen from them, and then as ruchi, as taste for Krishna Katha. So through continued association, through continued hearing, one's faith is increased, and then one becomes shuśrūṣa, means inclined for service, also inclined to hear, because hearing is the first and the foremost of the services, hearing about Krishna. So Vasudeva Kataruchi is aroused. And then Narada describes, as soon as I got the taste of personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I accepted gross and material subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendentals. So service in the form of hearing is what purifies the heart. Srimantam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyanta Stohya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satan. So it's the Lord from within the heart who is the benefactor, who is the Suhrit of devotee, he cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of devotee who has developed desire to hear his messages. And his messages are punya shavana kirtana. They are virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So for this very reason, the Lord Krishna, he performs so many pastimes and leelas that we can hear and remember. More than any other avatar, it's Krishna himself who is the most attractive and who perform these pastimes for our benefit, that by hearing and chanting about them, people can attain love for him. Our heart is in conditioned state full of impurities, full of these deeply rooted, seated vasanas, anarthas, samskaras, desires. But if one hears attentively from a pure devotee, all these impurities, they go away. They go away very fast. And then what happens? Nashta prayasha bhadreshu, when everything that is abhadra, that is inauspicious, goes away. Through what? Through nityam bhagavata seva, through serving of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavat devotee, pure devotee, and book Bhagavatam. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. One becomes established, pure devotional service, bhakti becomes firmly established in one's heart, becomes naishtiki. We attain the stage of steadiness. In that state of steadiness, one can very attentively continue to hear with the taste the message of the Lord. So in this way, the small boy, he got, as Narada, he got a taste, and once they left, he could continue on his own. And then the Lord, he made the arrangement. His mother was bitten by a snake, and then he became a traveling mendicant, parivrajaka all the way chanting and hearing about the Krishna. At one point, Krishna, he gave his darshan. So this is the way of liberation that we aim to. And it's attained by this katharuchi. Somehow or other, we need to develop the taste for hearing about Krishna. And this is possible in association of those who have this taste. So this is the main point I want to make. If you have any comments or questions. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I want to ask about a phrase, familiarity breeds contempt, where if somebody is too close or spending a lot of time with sadhus and then takes them for granted, loses respect or thinks they are ordinary persons. So can you say something about this?
Yes. So the respect is the basic prerequisite in order to get anything beneficial from anybody. Even in a material life, if you want to learn something from somebody, you want to learn math from a math teacher, you need to be respectful. He's your teacher, he's your guru. So the transmission of knowledge can happen only if there is a respect on the part of the student. If he is challenging, if he is disrespectful, transmission cannot take place. So similarly in devotional service, if you want to get benefit in the association of sadhus, of devotees, we need to be respectful towards them in order for mercy to flow, in order for us to get benefit from this association. If we are challenging, if we are doubtful, if we are offensive, we just commit aparadhas. We don't gain anything. So in that sense, it's better, to move away, not to be too close, not to be too familiar, not to be, because in a close proximity, we judge them on the basis of our material vision. We think, oh, he's eating, he's sleeping, he's doing everything like I do. We project our impurities, our anarthas on these devotees and think he's also conditioned as me. He's just ordinary person. What kind of respect I'm supposed to have for him? With such attitude, we cannot be benefit. For example, Srila Prabhupada, he had many family members. How many of them became, pure devotees, seriously practicing bhakti? They thought of him as Abhay Bhabo, their father. And they just wanted, from him money to maintain them. They had some, affection, but they didn't get from Prabhupada the real thing. The real thing somebody else got, This first disciples in America who recognize, oh, this is a saintly person, and I have to have respect for him. I have to serve him. I have to worship him. With this attitude, the mercy can flow. With this attitude, we can get this kṛtaḥ. We can get taste for pure devotion. Otherwise, if the attitude is wrong, this cannot happen. It just cannot happen. The result might be even the opposite. We might commit aparadhas. So somehow or other, we need to develop proper attitude, proper consciousness, and to relate to devotees in a proper way, even if they're close to us. Yeah, familiarity breeds contempt. So by intelligence, we have to understand, no, this is not good for me. I have to develop some respect. All Vaishnavas actually are our gurus. It's not that only our Diksha guru is a guru. There are many types of gurus. There is the first Shravan guru. Shravana guru. Shravana means all those Vaishnavas we hear from. And there are many. There should be many. It's not that I should hear only from my Diksha guru. No. We hear from many Vaishnavas Krishna Katha. And they're our gurus, and we should respect them. And then some of these Shravana gurus that we hear from, we choose as our Shiksha gurus. Those who will help us personally in our personal bhajan and worship and spiritual life with the instructions. And they also should be many, a few. Only Diksha Guru is one, because the mantra, secret mantra that is given by Diksha Guru is one mantra, because we have only one Ishta Devata, and it's forbidden to accept many Diksha Gurus. But it should not be limited just to Diksha Guru. It should not be limited just by taking a mantra. No, the main thing is hearing about Krishna. And this can be done from many Vaishnava Gurus, from many Shravan Gurus, and from many Shiksha Gurus. And we aim to gain this kṛtaḥ by this process of hearing. And then if we need some personal instruction, Shiksha Gurus are there. Of course, Diksha Guru also can act as a Shiksha Guru and give us instruction. You chant this many rounds, you hear this in this way or in that way, you worship the deity in this way or that way. These are the functions of Shiksha and Diksha Gurus. But Shravan Gurus are many, and we wherever we can get taste for Krishna, we should listen from. And respect is the baseline. For all these devotees, we have to have respect in order to get benefited. And if we become too familiar, yeah, there is a danger. There is a danger. Srila Prabhupada, he had, I think it was one servant, I forgot his name, in early days. And he served Prabhupada, but at one point when there was this moon landing, Prabhupada said very firmly, no, they didn't go. But this servant, he was watching it on a TV, and he thought, no, they have gone. Prabhupada doesn't know. And then he lost faith, and he lost respect, and he left. Because he was too close to Prabhupada. He thought, oh, Prabhupada is eating, Prabhupada is sleeping, Prabhupada is drinking. I'm also doing the same thing. So Prabhupada is no better than me. And how can he tell me that they didn't go? But somebody who was, a little bit at a distance and who kept the respect, they could accept what Prabhupada said. He said, didn't go, we accept it. They didn't go. They faked it. They cheated us. So yeah, this is some thoughts on respect. Yes, Nirvani Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for the lecture. I want only to tell about this story which you started. The name of the devotee was Purushottama. And then Purushottama, after that, he was working in the kitchen, and it was some explosion there in the kitchen where he was mixing spices. And then Prabhupada said, Purushottama landed on the moon.
Thank you. Yeah. And then I guess that hurt his ego. But the Guru is there actually to clean our anarthas. And if we feel that, that our ego is hurt, if we have a respect over somebody, we can take it. But if we lose respect, we cannot take it. We cannot take criticism and chastisement from somebody we don't have respect to. We have first to have respect, then that person can chastise us. If he don't have respect, so Purushottam, he lost respect, and that's why he was hurt. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the nice class. I was just thinking like how we attract the like-minded people or association. Also in the purport when I was reading, like it is explaining that we have to like transfer our attachment towards self-realized devotees. But like I'm just, from the very beginning I'm just thinking that if I am a new person or someone, then how I can understand that this person is a genuine person, because as Prabhupada is writing that he has unflinchingly engaged in devotional service, but many times in the beginning it may not appear. So whether it may not lead us to like kind of like-minded association, I'm just, can you draw some line on that?
So first point, if I understood properly, how can we recognize somebody is genuine?
Yeah, genuine, because like-minded. Because I am conditioned soul, so I may attract kind of conditioned soul also.
Oh, I said like-minded in a sense that if we want only Krishna, if our goal is only Krishna, if our desire is only Krishna, we will attract association of those who have the same pure desires for Krishna only, and who can actually teach us how to attain Krishna. In that sense, like-minded. In that sense, even neophyte devotee is a pure devotee if he desires only Krishna. If the Krishna consciousness, if love of God is his main aspiration, main goal, even neophyte devotee who is not very advanced, but he has no material desires, he just wants Krishna. So in that sense, if you are pure-hearted and sincere and you want Krishna for the sake of Krishna, for nothing else, then you will attract somebody who is more advanced to you to teach you how to fulfill this pure desire. But if I desire to become wealthy, for example, or to fulfill other material desires, the Lord who is in the heart, He detects this desire, and He sends a right person to help me fulfill my desire. He sends me a businessman who will teach me how to do business and earn this money. But if I'm sincerely done with this material life, and I really want to get out, and I want Krishna, Krishna will send a pure devotee who will teach me how to do that. So this is how Paramatma, who is a Chaitya Guru, works. And he arranges the persons from outside to come and help us fulfill our desires. So in that sense, like money, sense of what kind of desires we have, material or spiritual. So if we have spiritual desires, Kṛṣṇa can arrange somebody who is very spiritual, who is realized, or if not realized, at least more advanced than we are. And he can help us make advancement. And how to recognize if somebody is advanced or not? Well, you spend some time in association of that person and hear from that person and see what is the effect of hearing from that person on your own consciousness. For example, I know from my own experience, when I hear Prabhupada's class, audio class, although it's not the same as in a personal presence of Prabhupada, but still potency is there. And when I hear Prabhupada's class, after that my mind is very, very peaceful. And it's, I feel inspired. Although Prabhupada's classes are generally very, very simple, because he spoke them to neophyte devotees, to young devotees, nothing very complicated, but the purity is there. And that purity affects you, affects your own mind, and you feel uplifted. So similarly, if in the association of that person you want to associate with, if you feel spiritually enlivened and uplifted, that means that association is good for you. But if after that association you feel more disturbed, and you want to go here and there and do so many other things, that means that association is not very beneficial. So you give it a try. You first hear. You cannot just judge by looking at the person. It's very difficult, just to judge by how he looks like, how he dresses, but no, by hearing from him and how it affects your own consciousness. It will give you. You have to be a little introspective. After that association, you see what state of mind you have. What is your consciousness after that? Is it more disturbed, or it's more peaceful, or more Krishna conscious, or what is it? You have to determine your state of consciousness after that association. Similarly, when we eat, food or prasaṅgam cooked by some other person, sometimes, you feel that mind becomes more disturbed because the mind of that person who was cooking, it was disturbed. So this is also sort of association, accepting, food cooked by somebody, or talking to somebody. You open yourself to somebody else's state of consciousness, and that state of consciousness is transferred partially to your own consciousness, and you have to see what is the effect on your own consciousness and whether that association is beneficial for you or not. So we want association of pure-hearted persons who want Kṛṣṇa only. Even they might not be, completely self-realized, but they want Kṛṣṇa, and they have desire only for pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness. They have no material desires. They just want love of God. So we want association of such persons because in their association we will get the same type of desires. We'll develop same type of desire for Kṛṣṇa, for love for Kṛṣṇa, for katha ruchi. We'll develop this desire. This is what is actually transferred in the association, desires. So if we associate with those who are full of material desires, definitely we are going to catch these material desires, and we will start, wanting things that maybe we didn't even want before, because somehow we closely associated with the person full of material desires. But if we associate with the pure-hearted person who wants Kṛṣṇa only, we will also develop same type of desires. So we have to be introspective and judge the effects, the results of that association, and then to decide whether to continue that association or not. Is that clear? Mm-hmm. Anything else? If nothing else here, we'll finish. Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.